And our Major Garrett joins us now from the White House with more. And Major, we're going to get to immigration in a moment, but let's begin with those comments the president made to Reuters about nuclear weapons. Is what he said in keeping with the rhetoric we've heard from him in the past? And I wonder, Major, it sounds almost, and this is where I'm hoping to get your guidance on this, that the president we had this treaty with Russia, the START treaty, the New START treaty, that tries to prevent and reduce the proliferation of nuclear weapons. What is that, when you hear the president say that, what does that signal?
Well, I can't really be sure what it signals, and if he's trying to establish new policy that he wants to expand and enlarge the nuclear capabilities of the United States, or if he just wants to say something that is more or less true, that the United States is the preeminent nuclear power when it comes to available warheads and available ballistic missile and cruise missile delivery systems. It's not really clear if the president is talking about enlargement or just maintenance of that which the United States already has, which numerically is superior to all other countries. And that's not a vast superiority, but it is an important one. So it's not really clear. The president has always said he considers, he's told me personally in interviews after Republican debates during the campaign, that he is most concerned about security of nuclear munitions, not just the United States, but elsewhere, and trying to reduce overall nuclear weapons stockpiles globally, but also maintaining U.S. supremacy. So it's not really clear if he is trying to launch, if you pardon that expression, a new policy here, or just emphasize that supremacy matters to him on a lot of issues relating to American military, and this might just be one of them.
So let's turn to those, I guess, mixed signals from the administration on the immigration policy yesterday. As we saw in your story, the president called the deportations a military operation. That Homeland Security Secretary to say, no, there is no use of military force at all. Sean Spicer characterized it as a phrase to sort of describe the nature of the deportations. I got to ask you, how should we take this? Is this more sloppy speak or is it strategy?
Well, it's certainly sloppy because in no way can this president calm the nerves of those in the United States, in the immigrant rights community, who are very alarmed already about what these new deportation policies will mean and how they'll be translated here within the United States, or allies, not just in Mexico, but let's start with Mexico, who don't want to see a militarized deportation policy in the United States. So saying it's a military operation gives all those connotations. And if that's not what the president meant, those nearest him have to make sure he understands that that phrase, and that phrase alone, will echo for months as this process of accelerating not only deportations, but the entire procedure and the due process afforded to those who are subject to deportation. The administration wants to make all of that larger in number and faster in pace. And as that happens, everyone's going to be watching to see how that's done. And if there is any sense that this is involving National Guard forces or anyone in the military, boy, alarms will really go up. And as I pointed out in my piece, those in Mexico at the senior levels of that government were sort of already full of anxiety about the implications of these new immigration priorities, which not only speed up deportations and shorten the process for those deportations, but now call for the removal of undocumented immigrants into Mexico, even if that is not their country of origin. So you have lots of unaccompanied minors who have come into the United States from countries south of Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and others. And what the Mexican government is hearing from the Trump administration is if those people are captured, guess what? They're going to be deposited in Mexico, and that's it. And the Mexican government is like, wait a minute, we're responsible for these people now who just simply transited through our country to get to America? What are we supposed to do with them? So those issues were already front and center. And this suggestion, perhaps sloppy, that the U.S. military would be there to expedite this process raised even more alarm. So all these things have to be communicated again, recontextualized, re-explained, not just for the American audience, but for senior officials in Mexico.
Indeed. Major Garrett at the White House, thank you so much, Major.
Sure.